Hey friends, welcome back to Learn for Taraqi. Today we are going to learn about how to set up SSH for GitHub, Bitbucket or GitLab on a macOS system. Let's get started with GitHub first. So we are sitting on github.com. Now let me just first walk you through what are the prerequisites you need before you follow along with me. One thing is that you need to have one Mac system with you. Obviously this is targeting the Mac users, but somehow it may be related to Windows or Linux, but I will be covering in the later sessions. So here we are sitting on Mac system and the Mac system already have Git installed in it. So what is the step to install Git within the Mac system? You just have to go to the Git site, and here you mention brew install Git. If you just run this command on your command terminal, then you are good to go. So we do have only Git in our system and that's it. Now we do not have any SSH configuration etc. done so far. So I will walk you through that. Just follow along with me. So first of all, let me sign in into the Learn for Taraqi account. I will show you the repository that I'm going to clone using SSH URL, and then we are going to make some changes in it and push those changes with the help of SSH. But it will not allow us because we do not have any SSH config yet, right? So let me just take any one repo. You can take any repo like sample repo, and I just try to clone this repo on my system using SSH URL. So in the code, just go to SSH over here, and you already see that they are mentioning that you do not have this configuration available, so you won't be able to do stuff. So don't worry about that. Just clone this using this button. Just click it and we copy the clone URL. Now go to the terminal. In the projects folder, I am sitting on the projects folder. You might be sitting on some other folder. Don't worry about that. Simply type in git clone, because we have Git already installed. So git clone is available. You just have to clone this repository. Here we do not have any SSH configuration available because we are trying to clone using SSH URL, but it won't be allowing us to do so because we do not have any SSH config in my local. So first of all, just since you are on system Mac and SSH keygen is already installed in it, first of all you just have to type in SSH keygen. Let me just zoom a bit. SSH keygen and press enter. SSH keygen can be typed in any folder. You don't have to worry about on which folder you are setting. Simply type in SSH keygen. It will create public and private key pair, but before creating it, it asks for some information from you. So it says that, okay, enter a file in which to save the key. It actually says that public and private key it is going to generate, but where to save it. So here is the hint. By default, when you hit enter here without actually specifying the directory or location, it will automatically get created with the name id_rsa. With two key, id_rsa and id_rsa.pub, which is the public key, right? But I recommend that you name those keys, because it may happen that on sitting on the same Mac system, you might be connecting to GitHub or Bitbucket or GitLab, right? Or different repository servers. So it is better to create named keys. In future, you can refer those keys and accordingly you can manage things. So I would say that simply copy this entire path and paste it here and name it with any suitable name. Suppose we are sitting here and we want to connect to GitHub. So you can type in like GitHub for Learn for Taraqi. So you can say like L4T _ GitHub. So this is the name of the key, and you make sure that you do not type only the name. Make sure you type in the entire path. Now press hit enter. Now it will ask for the password. Actually, private key is protected with a password. So you have to enter any password. I am typing here ABCD. You can type in any password, any useful password. To keep it simple, I am just typing ABCD. But make sure that you type in the password. Do not leave it blank, because leaving it blank, you might have to follow some different steps and you struggle along with it. So you can type in any password that you can remember for later reference, like if you have multiple keys, and you can put the same password in each of the key according to your preference. So I'm typing in ABCD, hit enter. It will again ask for the confirmation, ABCD again, and then it will actually generate both the keys. One key is id_rsa_l40_github, and second key is id_rsa_l40_github.pub. So these two files are automatically get created and is present in the home directory .ssh folder. So just go to the home directory. In .ssh folder, you will see these two keys, id rsa l40 github and id rsa l40 github.pub. So both the keys are generated. So this is the first step. The second step is to configure the just create a config file. If it is not present in the .ssh folder, just create it. So I already have that config file just to keep it simple, and I already have those configuration present in this config file. I just show you what needs to be present within this file. Now just open this config file. I'm just opening it up. Now in your case, this file will be empty or have some different configuration. So don't worry about that. Just make sure that you follow this configuration. So first of all, the first line should say host space star, and the second is add keys to agent should be yes, and user keychain should be yes, and identity file should be the name of the key, private key. So this is the previous private key I have already in my system. So you have to type in the private key which is being generated right now. So in this case, l40 underscore github. So this is the private key that we have to type in here. So we are done with second step. Now the third step is to run the SSH agent with the eval command. Eval $ bracket and in this SSH agent space s and hit enter. What it does, it runs the SSH agent in the background. So what is the use of SSH agent? Basically, in normally you are typing in, you have already typed in the password for the private key, right? So every time you make some push or pull to the GitHub repository or whatever the operation, it will ask for you to enter the password. So to avoid that, we actually run the SSH agent in the background and use SSH add command to put that key along with the password within that SSH agent, so that every time you push or pull, it actually remembers those passwords and you do not have to type in again and again. So this is the reason this step is important. So SSH agent -s, this is first trigger this command and then use SSH -add command to add your key within that SSH agent. SSH -add K, then path of the private key, id underscore rsa, whatever in your case you want to name the file. Here we have this name l40 underscore github and hit enter. As soon as you type in, it will ask for the password. Here I am typing in ABCD is the password. So it is added, right? You see, and identity added. The fourth step is to copy your public key and configure it within the GitHub account. So for copying the key or copying anything in the Mac system, I am using pb copy command. So pb copy and then you have to type in the public key, id underscore rsa underscore l40 underscore github dot pub. So make sure that you copy the public file, not the private file. Now as soon as you enter it, it will get copied into the clipboard. It will not be seen like this. So just copy it into the clipboard, and then afterwards you have to go to the GitHub account. I am sitting on the GitHub account. Hey, here just go to settings and go to the SSH and GPG keys section and click on the new SSH key, and here just select this key text box and command V. It will copy the key, and here in the title you can put any name just to remember. If you have multiple keys configured into the GitHub account, so you can remember what is the use of this key. So here I am typing in as Mac key, just keep it simple, but in your case you can type in any name. So I have added this key. Now after that, let's try to clone it again. Go back to the terminal. So let me just copy the repository URL again, which is sample repo, and here I again select this, try to clone it with the git clone command. Now we'll see that it should work. It works. Yeah, so this is how we simply see that following 4-5 steps using following 4-5 steps we are able to configure SSH on Mac system. So let us learn how to set up SSH for Bitbucket. We have an account for Learn for Turkey in Bitbucket, and let's log in into that account, and we do not have any repo at all, but let's see how we can create that repo and then use the clone command to try to clone it. But again we will fail, and then we will configure SSH to make it work. So let's log in first into the Bitbucket account. So we are into the Learn for Turkey account and we do not have any repo at all. Let's create one repo in it. Quickly type in as sample, repository name as sample, any name you can put in. I'm just making it public so that you can view it later on. Just add the git ignore and readme, just create the repository. Okay. It will quickly create a repository with readme and .gitignore file. Don't worry about that, anything stuff written on readme file. We just are interested in cloning those repository. So let's just see how we can clone. Just click on this clone button and it will say whether to choose HTTPS or SSH. We are going to select SSH. Just click on this button. It will copy the SSH URL. Let's go to the terminal and try to clone this repository in the local, obviously on the Mac system. So just copy and paste it, git clone it, and then hit enter. Again, the access is denied because SSH configuration is not available for Bitbucket. You have configured SSH for GitHub in the previous section, but here, since it is not configured for Bitbucket, again it will complain. You don't have to think about that. Once you actually configure SSH for GitHub, it will work for other repos. You will make sure that it will be configured for all the remote repositories, because we need to add that public key into that specific account. So for what we have to do, we just have to type in the same command SSH keygen again, and it will create public private key pair and ask for the location of the keys, and we can rename it with the Bitbucket as a suffix within it. It's taking time, don't worry about that, just wait for it to complete. Now it will ask the location. Just copy this the way we did last time. Just write in as L40, I'm typing as L40 Bitbucket as the key name, and hit enter. It will ask for the passphrase. Again I'm typing in as ABCD, and now both the keys are created in the .ssh folder. Type in ls and you will see those two keys gets created, L40 Bitbucket and L40 Bitbucket.pub. Now the second step is now config file. Just open the config file in .ssh folder. Now in this config file, we already have an identity file for GitHub. Similarly, just add one more identity file within it. So here, just type in the name of the newly created Bitbucket private key and just save this file. Now we are done with the second step. The third step is to run the SSH agent and add the identity file using SSH add command. Now we already have run it SSH agent in the previous step. If we do not have to run it again, we can simply type in SSH -add command -k. If you face any challenge, you can run the same command eval SSH agent -s. Otherwise you are good to go. Just select the file ID RSA, this time L40 Bitbucket. Okay, and hit enter. Pass the passphrase. Okay, now here the identity file is added. Now the fourth step is to copy the public key. If you want to see the list of all the identity file as part of the SSH agent, you can type in command SSH -add -l. It will give you what all keys are present in the SSH agent. Since we have already the GitHub one, now we have added the Bitbucket one, so in total we have 2 keys present in the SSH agent. Now if you want to remove all these 2 keys entirely, like you want to purge this SSH agent, you can type in the command SSH add -D. So it's up to you. So here now the last step is to copy it using the pbcopy command. So type in pbcopy the way we did last time, and the path of the public key. I'm again repeating the path of the public key, not the private key. Okay, .ssh/id_rsa_L40_Bitbucket.pub. So it will copy the public key in the clipboard and then simply go to the Bitbucket account, just open it, just close this one and go to the settings of the Bitbucket. Okay, now here go to the SSH keys section, the similar we did for GitHub. Now add key and select this text box, Command V, copy the key, and again we can type in as Mac key and click on this button, add key. Now it simply add that key into the Bitbucket account. Now let's go back to the home page where we are trying to clone that repository. Just select that sample repository that we created earlier. Now just click on this clone and just copy this command again. Let's try to clone it again because we have configured the SSH in the Mac successfully. Now just try to clone. Now just paste this command and hit enter. I hope it should work because SSH is configured in the Mac system for Bitbucket. I hope you understand this concept of configuring the SSH key for Bitbucket. Make sure that configuration is done here separately for GitHub as well as Bitbucket. So it's up to you to reuse the same key for Bitbucket or not. So let's understand how to set up SSH for GitLab. So I'm sitting on GitLab website. So we do have learn for Turkey GitLab account. So let's open it, and we do not have repository as the case with the Bitbucket. So we'll create a repository and see and try to clone that repository first, and we'll see that we'll get an error, and then we configure the SSH for GitLab and see how the configuration will work smoothly. So let's log in into that learn for Turkey GitLab account. So here I already have one project which is with the sample repository with nothing, simply the readme file. So we will let us try to clone it in our local. Just go to the clone button in the clone with SSH, just copy this one in the clipboard and go to the terminal and use git clone command and type in this URL and hit enter. It will be failing because we do not have any SSH configuration so far. So here you see could not read from remote repository, permission denied, because again we do not have any SSH key configured in the GitLab account. So let's first create that SSH key pair and do the similar step for GitLab as well. So go to the .ssh folder, or you can sit on any folder, don't worry about it. Just type in SSH keygen. This is the first step that we have seen earlier couple of times. Simply just copy this URL or the path, whatever. This is basically path. So here we are actually configuring it for the GitLab. So L40_GitLab, hit enter, and I'm entering ABCD as a passphrase. You can enter any password. It's simply a password. Okay, so it creates a 2 keys in the .ssh folder. Now the second step is to configure in the .config file. Just open up the config file in the .ssh folder and add the identity file at the end of it. I just used the yank and paste command in the Vim. Simply just make sure that you mention that key in this file and just save it. Just save it. Now we saved this and the second step is done. The third step is to run the SSH agent. If it is already running, don't worry about it. Simply type in SSH add command and give the path to that file. I'm just typing it from the home directory. You can simply type in from this directory itself because we are already sitting on .ssh folder. So id_rsa _L40_GitLab. Okay, so just hit enter. It will again ask for the passphrase. Just give it the passphrase. Now this is being added in the SSH agent. Just you want to see that what all keys are present, just type in this command SSH add -l, and good to see like we do have 3 keys, one for GitHub, second for Bitbucket, and third for GitLab. So we're done. The last step is to copy that public key. pb copy command again. Just type in this, give the path .ssh /id_rsa _L40_GitLab. Okay, .pub, again this is the public key that you are copying and configuring in the GitLab. Just it will copy it into the clipboard, into memory, whatever. And then just go to the configuration of GitLab using this. Just go to the preferences, go to the SSH key section and just select this key section and just paste it here, and just you can name it any. The title is actually fetched from this one itself. You can type in any name like Mac key here in the title and click on add key. So the key has been added in the GitLab. Then let's try to clone it once more. Make sure that you copy the clone URL again. Just go to the home, go to the project again. Just try to clone it the way we were trying using this SSH URL. Go to the command line terminal and fire in git clone command. Now this time clones work because SSH configurations are done successfully for GitLab as well. So in a nutshell, you see in all these three configuration, GitLab, Bitbucket or GitHub, whatever. So we done the similar steps. We generate the key, we configure it within the SSH config file, and then we actually run the agent and add that key into the agent, and finally we copy the public key and then configure it into the account. So what we learned today? We learned about how to configure SSH in Mac system for GitHub, Bitbucket or GitLab. If this video is useful for you, please let us know in the comment section. If you still find any difficulty or problem in setting up SSH in your system, please let me know. I will try to solve your queries. Thank you so much for watching. Till then, goodbye.